The Arizona Cardinals travel to Seattle to face their division rival Seahawks on Sunday in one of Week 12's better games. Seattle a 6.5-point favorite on BETDAQ, 41 the total here. Let's get some of the obvious stuff out of the way first. The Cardinals have the NFL's best record at 9-1. They're 8-2 against the spread, so they've been the best team in the league to back as well, and they're a big 6.5-point dog here. It's also true that I was wrong on Arizona last week, thought they were going to lose to the Detroit Lions. They did not, pulled out a 14-6 win over the Lions. All that being said, I love the Seattle Seahawks here. This is my favorite bet of Week 12, possibly my favorite bet of the entire NFL season thus far. Seattle minus 6.5. Lock it up, folks. This is going to happen. Here's why. The Arizona Cardinals, even though they've won 9 of 10 games, they are really bad on offense right now because they're starting a backup quarterback in Drew Stanton. Now, when Carson Palmer went down with a season-ending knee injury a couple of weeks ago, I heard a bunch of people sort of no big deal that injury, saying, well, Arizona, this is why they have such a capable backup in Drew Stanton, and the Cardinals were 2-1 early this season when Stanton was under center. And all that's true. The Cardinals did win 2 out of 3 early in the season when Stanton was forced to start. However, if you remember those games, they were really bad offensively in those games. They struggled to move the ball. And you look at last week's performance, they scored 2 touchdowns in the first half of the first quarter. Then for the next 3.5 quarters, they could not move the ball at all. The Cardinals really haven't been able to run the ball all season. They average fewer than 80 yards per game on the ground. This offense has been entirely dependent on the downfield passing attack, the downfield passing of Carson Palmer. Drew Stanton just doesn't have that in his game. At least he's not nearly as good as Carson Palmer. And look, I know they faced a tough Detroit defense last week, so you might say, well, they didn't move it last week because they were facing the Lions, who lead the NFL in points scored. Well, this week they go on the road to face the Seattle Seahawks, 3rd in the NFL in total defense. The Seahawks desperately need this game. They lost a tough one on the road in Kansas City last week. They now sit at 6-4, 3 games behind Arizona in the NFC West, fighting for their wild card lives if they're not able to catch the Cardinals. This a big game for the Seahawks. Must-win situation, facing a very mediocre Arizona offense led by a backup quarterback. I just do not see it for the Cardinals in this situation. Think this is the type of game where the Seattle defense could outscore the Arizona offense. I do not expect the Arizona offense to exceed 10 points here. So even though I think the Cardinals defense is going to have success, Arizona's been very good on defense this year, 2nd in the NFL in points allowed, and Seattle not great offensively. We know they're a conservative run-first offense. Still, I think if the Seahawks can just manage 17 to 20 points, they're going to be able to cover this 6.5-point number. And I do think they'll get there on offense because even though the Cardinals have been good defensively this season, they have been vulnerable in the secondary, 29th in pass yards allowed. I know the Seahawks like to run the ball. They're 1st in the NFL in rushing offense. But we've seen over the last couple of years that Russell Wilson certainly can get the job done when he has to. And I think in order to move the ball, Russell Wilson will have to throw the ball in this game. But he should have some success, at least a lot more success than Drew Stanton's going to have. So look, feel great about the Seahawks winning this game. Feel great about them covering the 6.5-point number. If I'm wrong, feel free to harass me on Twitter about it. I don't think I will be wrong. Really like Seattle minus 6.5 on Sunday. Also have a slight lean towards under 41.